The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. It's your midweek fix for racing news and information. Brought to you by the Championship Racing Network. Now let's head trackside to join your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of day it is when you're checking this out. We appreciate you joining us here on this latest edition of Crossed Flags. Interesting weekend last weekend when we think about what happened on the track. Indycar locked down their championship, so their last couple of races, you're fighting for all the rest of the points and the positions because you're not going to fight for a title. We'll deal with that more during the big show. Plus, they were running at a road course again, and, well, the question was, is Shane Van Gisbergen going to break the rookie record for number of wins in a season? Spoiler alert, he did. But the two stories we're going to talk about tonight are sobering, one more so than the other. Let's put it that way. We have seen, Matt, many different celebrations over the course of years. Some people get out of the car, raise their fists. We saw Darrell Waltrip after the Daytona 500 try to do a really bad imitation of the Icky Shuffle. Kids, look that up. Ask your grandparents. Yeah. We've seen Carl Edwards flip off the back of the windowsill, do a backwards flip. We've seen Ross Chastain smashing watermelons. We've seen them all. What I haven't seen, and I don't know whether you can say whether or not you've seen this or not, but what we've never seen is something that happened to Connor Zilisch after he claimed the win on Saturday at Watkins Glen. He does the trackside interview and is able to get the car into victory lane. And as he's getting out of the car in victory lane, and producer John's about to show the pictures of this here, he's standing up doing a fist bump. And as he starts to make the adjustment to get off the windowsill to continue to celebrate, he actually falls. I don't know as I've ever seen that particular situation happen before.
I definitely haven't, but that's arguably one of the biggest freak accidents I've ever seen in a motorsport celebration.
Absolutely. Now here's the thing. I mean, obviously this is it's a windowsill. We use that word very carefully. I mean, they do climb through the driver's window, and there is a ledge right there that they can stand on, and that's what he was doing, as you can see in the picture that's on the left-hand side there. But you think about the crew that's behind him, and they're celebrating, as they should, because they've got a win, and they've got yet another win with more playoff points, which means they've got even that much more of a cushion when it comes to getting into the playoffs. So they're spraying water or Coca-Cola or whatever the heck they're spraying. He's 19 years old, so there's no alcohol there. All of that does have the negative effect of making that area where he was standing kind of slick. Granted, it's not necessarily in the direct line of fire, but do you think that might have had an effect on that?
I don't think it was necessarily that. What it was is you see in the picture how its window net is turned to the outside of the car.
Right.
When his foot is initially planted on the door sill, the window net, he's on top of the window net, and when he shifted his body to turn towards the camera, his foot turned with it, and the window net slid, and he lost his balance. And watching that video, watching the video, the one time that I watched it, and I have not watched it anymore, he's pretty doggone lucky that his tibia is not broken.
Agreed.
Because it was within a fraction of wedging his foot in between the actual seat and the door bar.
Yes.
And that would have been really, really bad.
This could have been a heck of a lot worse than what it is. You can see in the process of falling there, he's in a really precarious position. You mentioned his legs. Think about the fact that he is falling kind of head first. And we all know that there isn't a victory lane in NASCAR that is not either asphalt or cement, more than likely cement, which means he is falling head first to cement. Yeah. And so potential broken leg avoided. When I saw the video, and I did watch it a couple of different times because I kept looking at it going, what all's going on here? And my first thought was, oh my God, he's going to have a massive concussion. And he even
Yeah.
said that CT scans afterward showed that he was fine in that particular case, but he is injured. He has a broken collarbone. So he landed real hard right there.
Yeah. That took the blow, as you can see in that right-hand picture on the screen. That is to my right, as you see it, the one where he's close to the ground. His shoulder took the blow.
Yeah. Now, he did send word out earlier on today, on Tuesday. This is the 12th as we're recording this, and noted that he had undergone surgery today and was immediately in recuperation mode. If there is good news about this for him, he is, for all intents and purposes, locked into the playoffs. I doubt seriously that even if he had to miss, the next race would be Daytona. Even if he had to miss it, I doubt seriously NASCAR would not give him a waiver, which would be his second one of the year. But he's got this weekend off. The Truck Series and the Cup Series are both racing in Richmond. So at least they've got that time off. That's good news there. The question becomes, what happens next? Daytona, not the worst necessarily when it comes to being a track that will take a whole lot out of you, because you're going to have to exert some pressure, but like Talladega, it's once you get in and you get rolling, you floor the accelerator, and your main situation is turning that wheel. Can you do that with a broken collarbone?
Oh, if Dale Earnhardt can do it at a road course and win the pole on a road course with a broken collarbone. And there's been Davey Allison, I know when he was still driving, I know he had a couple times. Pretty sure Rusty Wallace did. I think Darrell Waltrip drove with one a few times, from my recollection.
Right.
I think he can.
Okay.
I mean, Shane Van Gisbergen, he was ribbing him a little bit in kind of a joking manner.
Right.
He said, I can get pins and screws and have surgery one week and be back in the car the next and finish the race. Okay.
Right.
He's got that 1 week. He's got that one cushion week. But the likely scenario, now that you say that Justin Marks has went into protective uncle mode, let's call that.
Sure.
Deciding what's going to happen, this, that, or whatever. I could legitimately see him starting the car at the next three races, which is Daytona, Bristol, and Gateway. The last three races of their regular season. I could see him starting the car and then getting out to where he keeps accruing his points.
Okay.
That's the likely scenario I see. I don't see him being pulled completely out of the car when he's the regular season leader and is in prime position to be the regular season champion. So
yeah, exactly. Like I said, I think that they would give him the waiver, but at the same point in time, we have, like you said, we've seen drivers that have had this situation before. And from a driver's perspective, I mean, this better than I do, but I mean, I've had a couple of driving experiences at Talladega and Atlanta, but that doesn't give me the full idea of what this might mean when it comes to his ability, when it comes to movement and everything. But one would think with a broken collarbone, maybe the most uncomfortable, I'm not going to say the worst thing, but the most uncomfortable thing to me might be him cinching down the shoulder harnesses and having to go right over that broken collarbone.
It would be. I'm sure if this scenario that he starts the car, I'm sure there will be some sort of a. It's like a shirt, like an undershirt that football players wear that have pretty thick pads on the shoulder area that goes under their shoulder pads.
Yeah,
I could see him putting one of those on and starting the car, at least with that, and then when he gets out and whoever gets in the car, which I would be royally shocked if you don't see Dale Earnhardt Jr. come back and drive the car for one race at Daytona. I'd be shocked.
Sure, I could see that happening at least one of those three races, I should say it.
Yeah, that's going to be a likely thing. And then with them having pins and screws put in to help the healing process, I think he should be okay in due time.
Okay. And I'm going to ask this one more time. Trying to get out of the car using basically only one hand, he's going to need help probably getting both into and out of the car, don't you think?
Oh, for sure, because your left side, that's the when you're getting out of the car, that's the first arm you put up to pull yourself up. It's your left arm to pull
So
yourself up.
he's either going to be really uncomfortable in trying to work himself out of the car enough, and then he's got the other uncomfortable because the best way to pull somebody out of a car is how? Underneath the arms.
Yep.
So either
Absolutely.
way, it's not going to be really, really comfortable for Connor. But the point is that for a 19-year-old kid and a healthy kid at that, and a talented kid, I don't think it's going to keep him out of the car for long. If it keeps him out of the car at all, I kind of tend to think like you do. Instead of missing a race and asking for a waiver, unless things just go really south in the healing process, I think what you'll probably see, worst case scenario, is that, yeah, he'll start the race and they'll get a substitute driver to go in. And that way, again, he accrues the points.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
The second story that we have is the much more sobering story. And this is not NASCAR. It is stock car related, but it is not NASCAR. We began the year in the Cup Series going to Bowman Gray Stadium, the wonderful, tiny, little, intimate track with a football field in the middle of it in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And it was cool to see the cars run there. But they have a weekly racing series, and every week they're doing modifieds and all different kinds of, mostly modifieds. I say mostly modifieds is what probably I think maybe they're most famous for.
Yeah, that's what they're most famous for. But they have the street stocks modifieds, four cylinders, and sportsman late models, and on occasion they'll run pro late models there.
It's a very popular weekly racing series, but
Yep.
they had a pall cast over them when they had a veteran modified driver unfortunately suffer, as I heard it, and correct me if you heard this differently, suffer a heart attack on a restart late in the race last weekend, same weekend that we're talking about Connor Zilisch. And he suffers a heart attack and has a massive crash. Medics are able to get to him. They're starting to perform life-saving CPR and everything else that they can possibly think of. They start to get him loaded up, transported to the hospital. Unfortunately, Robbie Brewer passes away. And over something that is at least as unexpected as what we were talking about when it comes to Connor Zilisch. I'd never heard of anybody falling off the windowsill of their race car in a post-race celebration. I can't say as I'm overly familiar with a whole lot of drivers who have suffered a heart attack behind the wheel of a race car.
I know of a dirt late model driver. I actually not a late model driver, an actual competitor that I used to compete with in one of the divisions I drove in.
Mm-hmm.
He had a heart attack on track while we were racing. He fortunately, very, very fortunately, he didn't succumb to the heart attack. He's still alive and he's still doing well today.
Did
But
it result in a crash, or was he able to control the car enough to get it stopped?
he did get into the outside wall, but the car, he had it under control enough. He got it stopped before he got too bad.
Okay.
Because
So,
I remember the red flag when it happened. It happened on lap 8.
whoa. Yeah, I mean, something like that, you're going to have a hard time forgetting. I mean, let's
Yeah,
face it.
yeah. Because I think he was in like 12. It was, I think, a 16 car field that night, and he was like 12th or 13th, and I was running 5th that night.
Mhm.
And was climbing through the field. And then when we went to red flag, they didn't even throw the caution. They went automatically red. And we had to come to a dead stop.
Sure. Yeah.
And then,
You got to get medics out on the scene and everything.
yeah, medics deployed and got over there and got him out. And like I said, very fortunately, he's still alive and still with us today. But hands down, this is probably the sobering part of everything.
Mhm.
Because when and I've said this in the time you and I went and done that show over at Cumulus that night and done the interview with AJ.
Yeah. On Breaking
Um,
Bread.
on Breaking Bread, I said the one thing that you always have in the back of your mind when you climb over that windowsill, are you going to climb back out? Because it's in all reality, it's a 50-50 chance if you're going to climb back out, because one little thing that can go wrong, whether it be you get in a severe accident, or whether it's something that happened to you or something that's not of your doing and you get caught up in somebody else's mess, or even something like this. That's the harsh reality and the sobering part of motorsports. You legitimately never know if you're going to climb back out of that car or not.
But and yeah, I mean, it sounds like an awful cautionary tale of try not to do something dangerous. But let's face it, life is dangerous. We get up in the morning, we go to work. There's every chance that we could get involved in a traffic accident that might take our life on the way to or on the way from work. Something could happen at work that is unforeseen. Life is in and of itself something of a cautionary tale in the fact that we never know from one day to the next. And what is always kind of stuck in my head, and it really surrounds Dale Earnhardt, is the fact that he said on more than one occasion that if I happen to die while I'm behind the wheel of a race car, at least I was doing what I love to do.
Absolutely.
And that, that was for him the way that he would prefer to go. And you think about all those football players who have had major injuries. I mean, I was just running through some stuff not that long ago and came across the sad story of Darryl Stingley, former New England Patriots wide receiver who got paralyzed by a hit from Jack Tatum in a preseason game of all things. Joe Theismann, who had his career ended with a severe broken leg in a Monday Night Football game against the New York Giants. But if you asked them and all the other men or women who have been able to do what it is that they love to do, even if they got an injury that caused them to not be able to do it anymore, while doing it, they would tell you they wouldn't change a thing. They would still have gone and done what it was that they loved to do.
Absolutely.
And, and for Robbie Brewer, if there is any consolation to his family and friends, he was doing what he loved. And that doesn't make the pain or the heartache any less or make it go away. We know that. We've all lost loved ones. Some of us very, very close. You obviously can attest to that. I can speak to it when it comes to my mother and my father and my grandmother and all that. And, we're not going to get into full details on it, but people know your story and they kind of know mine too.
Sure.
It's
absolutely.
It's not that we don't miss them, but I think that there should be in some way, shape, or form at least a little solace in the fact that he went out in a way that I think he would have wanted to. What else do you know? And I get it. He's kind of a local modified driver. He didn't get a whole lot of national attention, but what else do you know about his career?
I don't know very much about his career other than he wasn't in a modified. He was in the sportsman late model class.
Okay.
He was in. And I saw one video of the crash that surfaced on social media, and I put my phone down and just looked away.
Yeah.
Because it made it worse. It's bad enough that he went and he lost his life in had a heart attack behind the wheel of the car.
Mm-hmm.
But it made it worse is when it happened. From what I understand, now I could be way off base, but from what I understand, his right leg locked up and his body locked up and had the throttle pinned all the way to the firewall, and he hit the wall at full speed.
Yeah.
And that made the accident that much worse.
Sure.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, because that creates more trauma to the body.
Absolutely. Even though Bowman Gray's not a high-speed track, still though, it still creates that added trauma on top of him having the heart attack that he had, which is absolutely unfortunate.
And we heard
imagination.
We heard this started on a restart, so they weren't quite yet up to full speed, but
it is turn 3 on the restart.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're starting to build up speed. by that point in time. I can almost guarantee it. And anytime you're going to hit a solid wall like he did, and you and I have both seen the same video, I'm sure, or similar, it causes that car to go from, and I'll just throw out a number, let's say 70 miles an hour to nothing, just like that. And it's so much force that it basically causes all that momentum has to go somewhere. So it causes the car to get pushed off at a weird angle and continues to roll for a little while. It's ugly. Obviously we can't show you video here. We don't have rights to do that, but I don't think we would show you the video of it anyway, because it's just not one of those things that I think we should show. It's kind of like going back, and we've all, if we're of a certain age, we've all seen the video of Dale Earnhardt hitting that outside wall on the final lap in turn 4 at the Daytona 500 back in 2001. I don't want to show that again.
There are several accidents that I've seen videos of where competitors have lost their life in that said accident that I wish I'd never seen.
Yeah, exactly.
Wish I'd never seen.
So it is out of respect for Robbie Brewer, his family, his friends, and our prayers go out to all of them in the wake of his passing. But again, if there is any minor consolation, it was the fact that he was doing what he loved to do. How old was he?
53.
53, way too young, way too young. And I'm sure that there will be many honorariums of that. And like I said, we do here at the Championship Racing Network do honor that and send out, again, our thoughts and our prayers out to his family and his friends in the wake of their loss. There's no doubt about it. Lighter news, we are back live coming up on Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time. A little bit different, though, because for you are coaching once again. And if people are long-term listeners, they know that you were coaching youth football last year, and the season is about ready to begin kind of in a more festive way, not necessarily seriously this Saturday.
Yeah, it's preseason game down the road here from where I'm located at. We're going to be playing in Lincoln this coming Saturday and got the early game. It'll look a little bit different this year for me being involved with everything, because as I used to say, the group that I had last year, we had the good old Jefferson Pilot 11 a.m. kickoff.
Right.
Now we really have the CBS 2:30 kickoff, because I'm in the middle group this year with what we classify as the junior group. So our games will be at 10:30. So depending on how everything looks on home games, I will be in studio for the majority of the show. And then I will leave probably a segment or two before. But road games, depending on how the schedule lays and how far away it is from the studio, will determine how long I stay in the studio. And then the rest of the way I'll be via phone, jumping right in. But how the schedule lineup will go from there.
All right. So this weekend, are we by phone? You in studio? How long?
We'll be by phone this week because preseason and everything, we have to do preliminary things with weigh-ins and making sure all the players are signed in correctly. So I have to be there a little early for that. But it'll be by phone this week. But when season gets going, determining whether the determination on how long I'm in studio will be versus where the home and away is. And we'll take it week by week.
Excellent. All right. So Matt by phone, I'll be in studio. Producer John, of course, capably handling CRN Live on YouTube. For this, we thank producer John for all of his hard work here and getting those pictures all set up. We also thank producer Molly for helping us out when it comes to Jocks FM TV and getting us set up over there. She is invaluable over there. For Matt Nicholson, I'm Steve West. Thank you for checking out this edition of Crossed Flags.
You've been listening to Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. For more content like this, subscribe to CRN Live on YouTube, and you'll be set to catch the 2-hour live show every Saturday morning at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.